There is someone you see every single week who is secretly a multi-millionaire, and you have absolutely no idea. Picture a guy at your local hardware store or standing in line at the coffee shop. Let's call him Marcus. He is wearing a faded gray hoodie. The screen on his phone has a tiny crack in the corner that he hasn't bothered to fix. He walks out to the parking lot and unlocks a 2015 Honda Accord with 110,000 miles on the dashboard. If you looked at him, you would automatically assume he is just getting by, probably stressing over rent or hiding from credit card bills. What you physically cannot see is the math happening in the background of his life. You don't see the $6.4 million he holds across broad market index funds. You don't see the completely paid-off primary residence. You don't see that the interest and dividends generated by his portfolio pay him nearly $20,000 a month without him ever having to clock into a job. He doesn't drive the old Honda because he is broke. He drives it because he did the math, and he simply doesn't care what strangers think of him. The defining truth of wealth in 2026 is that people who look rich and people who are actually rich are completely different species. The entire global consumer machine is designed to make you trade your actual freedom for empty status symbols. Today, I'm going to walk you through 10 specific signs that indicate someone has built real, irreversible wealth. These are not guesses. They are psychological behaviors you can start copying immediately, regardless of what your paycheck looks like right now. The first giveaway is how they speak about money. To the average person, money is extremely emotional. It is wrapped in shame, ego, status, and anxiety. When a normal person sees a $200 dinner bill, they sigh, complain, or brag about paying it. When the secretly wealthy person looks at money, all emotion is removed. They treat it like a simple data point. They talk about capital exactly the way an architect talks about measurements. This costs exactly $400, and it delivers precisely this amount of value over 5 years. There is no frustration. There is no flexing. They have removed the emotion because their financial foundation is absolute iron. The second sign is their mechanical avoidance of depreciation, specifically when it comes to vehicles. The current financial crisis for the middle class is the $80,000 luxury SUV.
A brand new luxury vehicle loses nearly 30% of its value in the first 18 months. That means a buyer absorbs a loss of $24,000 in pure air just for the privilege of a new leather smell, all while handing the bank $1,000 a month in payments. If you want to understand the actual math behind wealth and stop falling for the traps that keep people broke, hit subscribe right now. Around here, we don't care about looking rich. We care about being free. Make sure you don't miss the next breakdown. The secretly wealthy person looks at that car math and laughs. Instead, they buy a vehicle that is 5 to 7 years old in cash. They let the original owner absorb the devastating financial blow of initial depreciation, and they drive a deeply reliable machine for the next decade. If you take that same $1,000 monthly car payment and invest it into an index fund returning 8% for 20 years, you don't end up with a rusted piece of metal. You end up with over $570,000. The wealthy do not hate nice cars. They just hate destroying their own capital. A third massive difference is that they spend heavily on invisible infrastructure. If you look at people who are trying to fake wealth, they spend every dollar on things that have logos, watches, belts, luxury bags, aesthetic vacations. They buy things that can be photographed. The secretly wealthy spend aggressively on things you will never see. They will happily pay a brilliant CPA $3,000 a year because that CPA saves them $14,000 in taxes. They will buy robust umbrella insurance policies to protect their assets. They will spend top dollar on an estate planning attorney to shelter their legacy. They buy a premium mattress, high-quality nutrition, and top-tier tools for their trade. They spend money on function and friction removal, not on public signaling. The fourth indicator is asymmetrical decision-making. You will watch a multi-millionaire spend 20 minutes comparing a $50 monthly software subscription against a $30 alternative to ensure they are getting exactly the value they are paying for. They will cancel an unused streaming service with total ruthlessness, but that exact same person, when told their home needs a $16,000 structural roof repair, will write the check the same afternoon without blinking. They sweat the small recurring leaks because they understand that recurring costs destroy compounding. But when a true high-stakes necessity appears, they deploy capital instantly to prevent a $16,000 problem from rotting into a $40,000 disaster. Number 5 is their mastery of the cooling-off period. In 2026, the retail environment is a psychological war zone.
One-click checkout, biometric payments, algorithm-driven ads. Everything is engineered to separate you from your cash in under 5 seconds based on a dopamine spike. The wealthy have successfully hacked their own brains. They employ a mandatory 72-hour rule for any discretionary purchase over $200. When they see something they want, they put it on a list and walk away. 3 days later, the dopamine has completely evaporated. 90% of the time, they look at the item on the list and realize they don't actually care about it anymore. You do not get rich through infinite willpower. You get rich by inserting a time delay between your impulses and your wallet. The sixth behavior is a complete immunity to lifestyle creep. Let's say an average earner gets a promotion and their salary jumps from $80,000 to $130,000 a year. Almost immediately, their apartment upgrades, their car upgrades, their restaurant budget doubles. They widen the pipe to match the new water pressure, and at the end of the month, they are exactly as broke as they were before. They just have shinier stress. The secretly wealthy operate a siphon. When their income surges by $50,000, they might allow their lifestyle to inflate by $2,000 or $3,000. The remaining $47,000 is instantly siphoned off into brokerage accounts and real estate before they ever even see it in their checking account. Their lifestyle stays flat. Their asset column explodes. The seventh sign is how they value their time. When you are broke, you trade your time to save small amounts of money. When you have successfully built a multi-million-dollar machine, capital is abundant, but time is strictly limited. They will gladly pay a premium for a direct flight to avoid a 5-hour layover because 5 hours of their time is mathematically worth far more than the $300 price difference. They will pay for grocery delivery. They will hire someone to mow the lawn or fix the plumbing. They stop asking, "Can I afford to pay for this?" and start asking, "What is my hourly rate, and is doing this task myself costing me more than hiring it out?" Number 8 separates the amateurs from the permanent winners. They are entirely agnostic to market panic. When the stock market collapses by 18% over 3 weeks, the average retail investor panics, logs into their brokerage, and panic sells everything to stop the bleeding. They lock in temporary paper losses and turn them into permanent financial scars. The secretly wealthy do not flinch. They don't even log into the app to check the balance. When they do look, they act like a shopper walking into a massive clearance sale. They realize that a market crash is just a temporary discount on the exact same world-class companies they were buying last month at full price. They do not sell. They back up the truck and aggressively buy more. The ninth sign is complete brand blindness and the absence of social debt. They owe nothing to the expectations of their neighbors. The middle class is trapped in a brutal cycle of performing for people they don't even like. Upgrading the kitchen because the neighbors did, buying the luxury trim package because the coworkers will see it in the lot. The secretly wealthy have disconnected completely from the opinions of others. They realize that spending money to look wealthy to strangers actually prevents you from ever becoming wealthy. Their neighbor's new boat is irrelevant data. It does not trigger jealousy. It only triggers an understanding of how much future freedom that neighbor just burned. Finally, the 10th sign.
They measure costs not in dollars, but in time. This is the ultimate mindset shift. When the average person looks at a $60,000 kitchen remodel, they look at the monthly payment plan. When the secretly wealthy person looks at that same remodel, they divide the cost by their savings rate. They realize that paying for that kitchen will require them to work your corporate job for an additional 3.5 years. They ask themselves, is having marble countertops worth surrendering 3.5 years of my life inside a cubicle? Usually, the answer is no. They view money merely as stored energy, specifically the energy required to buy back their own life. When you see the guy in the faded hoodie getting into the 2015 Honda, you are not looking at a failure. You are looking at a master of the game. He doesn't need a designer logo on his chest to prove his worth, because his brokerage statement already proves his freedom. He solved the math equation of life while everyone else was busy trying to look good on the internet. The path to real wealth isn't loud. It is silent, consistent, and completely unconcerned with the opinions of the crowd. Stop trying to look rich and start doing the boring mathematical work to actually become free. If this breakdown changed how you look at the people around you, hit subscribe. We don't chase status here. We build structural integrity. See you in the next one.